A scene from Blazing Saddles where the whole cast that we shot Harvey Korman, evil people fleeing Warner Brothers fleeing dark. Blazing Saddles opened in 1974. No one anticipated it to transgress rules that AS it did. A wild comedy wit, sarcasm, and a talented cast gave everything. The movie moved fast that hit the box office, bringing in millions, stunned critics, and made historical significance as one of Mel Brooks's daring works. As fans, however, have revisited this classic, moments have occurred over the decades that stood out differently. From funny hidden tales to surprise goofs in plain sight. Come join us, we examine the film and its cast. Find the biggest mistakes fans missed. The crazy comedy that transformed Hollywood. Blazing Saddles debuted in 1974 that, unlike anything seen before, Mel Brooks directed the film, which Western action and absurdity comedy. Didn't just mock the classic Hollywood cowboy movie. This tore them along with shocking jokes and satire audiences then. Critics didn't initially make sense of it, but audiences enjoyed it. The movie was tremendous box office hit, earning millions. Show people were ready for daring comedy. It even got 3 Academy Award nominations, proving what Hollywood couldn't overlook. Brooks left. Over time, its notoriety rose. The American Film Institute later ranked it number 6 on its 100 list funniest films ever. Also in 2006, the Library of Congress added it. National Film Registry, calling it in culture, history, artistically noteworthy. But behind all the laughter and success includes outrageous tales, purposeful errors, unforeseen bloopers that persist, fans discussing today. That's part of makes Blazing Saddles popular. Always return. And Theus, you see how turmoil, risk, and invention ensued into this comic masterpiece. Unlike any cast other movie had amazing acting cast who carried the narrative. Life. Sir Cleon Little played Sheriff Bart, the witty hero, their heart of everything. The actor Gene Wilder, Jim, Waco Kid, an alcoholic gunslinger, helps Bart when overtown folks. Slim Pickens came. Taggart, the foolish but dangerous henchman. Alex Karras played a big beast with a shocking soft side. David Huddleston joined cast too. Of course, Mel Brooks couldn't resist entering. Governor Brooks played 2 roles. William J. Lee Padane and native Yiddish-speaking American chief. He even substituted lines for backdrop personalities, proving he handled everything over project. Other regulars from like Mel Brooks films appeared. Kahn, Dom DeWeese, Harvey Korman. Kahn was very influential. A.S. German seductress Lily von Stupp. Funny twist. She became one of most memorable film moments. Even bandleader Count Basie contributed. April in Paris cameo. Middle of Wild West was an intentional anachronisms. Example, Brooks threw in irrelevant moments, a sense historically, but functioned wonderfully for humor. The cast was strong that even the most preposterous chemistry scenes arose. Still, as strong on camera, there were additional backstories about who almost got cast and how some roles changed due to life issues. That it includes one of the largest what-ifs in comedic history have been. Perhaps the most startling Blazing Saddles stories are that Richard Pryor nearly played Sheriff Bart. Pryor was one of the most contentious and intriguing American comedians. He was also close Gene Wilder collaborator, and they later starred in 4 films from 1976-1991 featuring Stir Crazy and Silver Streak. If things had gone differently, perhaps Blazing Saddles was their first huge project together. Before Ivanko wrote the film's script with Mel Brooks, Andrew Bergman, Norman Allen Ugger, Steinberg. As Gene Wilder subsequently clarified in a Talk New York 2013, Pryor lost a role due to his addiction. Despite his incredible talent, the studio was worried about putting him in lead role then. So instead, the Cleon Little fulfilled his part. Crisp, knowledgeable, and memorable performance as Bart. Fans today often imagine the films look similar to Pryor, but in the it worked out. Little gave film a distinctive edge. Pryor left his designate the project as one-off writers. Behind the scenes, almost moment reveals how close the film came, unlike any other movies. Even so, despite changes, comedy persists. Stood fearless, turbulent, and full of energy. Just the casting twists beginning since the story begins drove spectators on an adventure no one has before expected. A rule-breaking narrative, Blazing Saddles takes place in the American frontier in 1874. It begins with new railway construction, which needs rerouting through small Rock Ridge town. That land $1 million value. Also, greedy Attorney General Headley Lamar plans to drive the townspeople out. He sends men terrorize Rock Ridge to clear it for personal advantage. Adding insult to damage, he persuades the ignorant governor to appoint Black Bart Trailway Worker, the town's new sheriff. His plan is easy. Town's offended people will cause turmoil that will follow, giving him control. But Bart is smarter than Lamar. Even town residents are unfriendly at first. Bart thinks fast, and he pretends to hold survival requires hostageship. With aid from Jim, the Waco kid, Bart slowly gains community support. Along defeats baddies like who is more thoughtful than anyone expected, and Laylee Von Up hilariously loves him. As story builds, Bart brings together Rock Ridge residents with the railway workers, indicating we must battle Lamar's troops together. The final battle is insane. There are phony settlements, dynamite traps, and a toll booth for villains pay at for precise change. Then, just when things couldn't get wilder, movies violate fourth walls. The fight hits another film set, overflows into a cafeteria, and ends on Burbank streets. Lamar escapes by ducking into Amo-Vi Theater screening Blazing Saddles, but Bart finds him and stops him without a single shot. The film ends, Bart and Jim riding off, not into sunset, in a limousine. This odd and fun conclusion all about Blazing Saddles. It was flamboyant, self-aware, and full distinct from Western viewers were accustomed. But did you know the Blazing Saddles story didn't start with Mel Brooks? Andrew initiated it. Bergman, a 20-something time. Bold idea birth. Bergman originated the idea and named it Tex X for Malcolm X. My initial draft. Tex X. Helleter stated that the lead character was inspired by Malcolm. One time, Alan Arkin was James Earl Jones was to direct intended to play sheriff. But like so many early Hollywood plans failed apart. Then Mel Brooks arrived at the image. Bergman recalled saying, "I love Mel Brooks." Brooks agreed and said he loved him. The idea, but wanted to change it. Becoming Western. That began anything exceptional. Brooks persists challenged the title, rejecting such as Black Bart and Purple's Itch. Similar to many creatives, finally, the perfect name emerged. Guy showering. Was Blazing Saddles born? Brooks told Playboy, "What I was intrigued by a contemporary black man entering traditional West." He assembled writing team with Norman Allen Ugger, Steinberg. Richard Brooks said Pryor authored the Jewish jokes written black. Jokes. 9 months later, we finished a script with title and teamed out with writers. The film was scheduled to history. But you'll see that authors weren't Hollywood's best writers at the time. Once Brooks started recruiting his writers, Norman said most were unpopular. Steinberg was uncredited in films. Bergman had just been rejected to teaching despite a history PhD. Brooks admitted feeling washed up after producers and 12 Chairs lost money. Producers and 12 Chairs didn't make enough to buy a new automobile. He wrote in his memoir. Richard Pryor's situation was difficult. His career had changed direction, and he welcomed edgier Black Panther-inspired content. He was radical in Berkeley, also struggling with cocaine addiction. Despite this, his ingenuity and raw humor picture. Scott Saul Penn becoming Richard Pryor. That writer was untested or on the skids. That odd mix may have exactly what gave Blazing Saddles its fearless voice. Brooks admitted not writing for, he said. It was Medea's a mysterious little image. We wrote for two weirdos on the balcony, radicals, film buffs, pencil drawers, bathroom wall. My type. A tiny idea grew soon. Become substantially larger. But Brooks attempted before the camerasto attract the biggest cowboy star Hollywood. Almost cast. Brooks desired Western hero John. The film will star Wayne. He asked read the screenplay, Wayne, and Star really liked it. But Wayne fretted. About how the role would influence him career, so he respectfully declined. He did say, "I'll be first in queue to see it." Brooks had it without Wayne. An impressive cast, but getting them was hard. The Waco Kid role was hard. Brooks suggested at first that T.O. Johnny Carson, who declined. He then hired film veteran Gig Young. Young initially fit the role that intoxicated gunslinger figure. But the actor struggled with alcoholism. On the first day of filming, went wrong. Brooks said, "We draped Gig Young's legs, hanged him upside down, and began talking. Shaking, I said, 'This guy gives me lots that I get the alky shake.' Great." Then everything got serious because the shaking continued. And green. Things spewed from his mouth, his nose, and screamed. Young hurried to hospital and Brooks said, "I had no movie." Luckily, Gene Wilder intervened. He was aware, he said, most of the kids' phrases and brilliant performance that became a memorable role. Slim Pickens worked hard, even napping outside with a rifle to enter character. Then Alex, former NFL player, cars the massive his renowned scene killing a horse was actually based on a tale Brooks heard about comedian Sid Caesar performing the same thing. Yet the oddest casting tale even earlier when Brooks was seeking for his sheriff, breaking ground, breaking wind. You see, Richard Pryor was once considered for Sheriff Lee. Bart's personal issues cost him. He was cast instead, the film's name-maker, Cleveland Littlestable Core. Even if Pryor wasn't star, his writing shaped it movie like no one else. Once the cameras rolled, Brooks wanted the film to stand out unlike any Western before it. One of his boldest options was including first scene with sound flatulence. Old movie cowboys were always eating beans by campfire, but no one had demonstrated would likely follow. Brooks jokingly, "My Blazing Saddles was a groundbreaking film. Maybe it broke because of wind." He included more than he loudened it to ensure the audience laughing wouldn't drown it. It shocked, amused, and absolutely new, but the studio wasn't entertained. WB chairman Ted Ashley wanted cuts after a snooped. He wanted racial slurs, and he claims he eradicated fart noises that I defied commands and left that crumpled my notes and threw them away. Did not throw the wad away. Cut a sentence, word, or anyone's expression. Staying with the ridiculous content contributed to Blazing That Saddle was dangerous, was bold, and unfinished. Risk developed a movie that talk about today. Behind the scenes, Richard Pryor. When discussing Blazing Saddles, someone usually mentions Richard Pryor. That was a writer, and his presence affected the picture several ways. Not fans. Pryor had some unusual requirements before joining the team. Becoming Richard before, he wanted train fare and a bottled writer's brandy awaits him upon arriving at Warner Brothers. He settled in. Mel Brooks, sixth-floor conference room, began outlining the film's departing from the original. Listening. Pryor unwrapped a locket, calmly tipped, and snorted cocaine. Brooks recalled Pryor offering him some. Brooks, despite never before lunch. His lifestyle. Pryor's creativity important, Andrew Bergman said. If in a room with 3 Jews, we'll be tentative when writing black man jokes. What's permissible? What's prohibited? The license Richie granted us was a huge gift. Brooks agreed. I can't speak N-word. I need him. It needs his blessing. I need black. Pryor just blessed that word, telling Brooks, we're writing race discrimination tale. It's the own word. It's profound. It's real. And the more we use it from the rednecks, the more the victory black sheriff resonates. Beyond the theme of race, Pryor added humor in other areas. Created lines for Alex's big henchman Karis, containing the famous sentence, Mongo only pawn in game of life. Yet while Pryor's writing affected the film, he never played the lead of Black Bart. And that choice wasn't manufactured by Brooks. From the studio, Family Ties, and Young Frankenstein, Wilder filmed Blazing Saddles. Approached Brooks with a new idea film. His idea was simple. Brooks later said, what if Dr. Frankenstein avoided him? Family whatsoever. He was humiliated. The idiots. I said, that's funny. Young Frankenstein evolved from that notion. Released later that year in December 1974 and became another enormous success. Brooks was creative. His personal life was also blossoming. Changing now. While writing in Blazing Saddles, his son Max Brooks born. Max became a writer. His most famous works include World War Z. Brooks, and in Braftoft accepted Max during the extended writing process, shows that although Brooks was making comedic history, he was building his family. And the familial factor in the cast as well. Malene Khan, after success Blazing Saddles, later starred in additional Brooks films, including Young Frankenstein. Her act as not only did Lily Vanop win an Oscar nomination solidified her position, creative Brooks circle. With so much talent, humor, and family influence related to filmmaking, its influence was expected to extend beyond the box office. But not only did Blazing Saddles succeed quietly, it was strongly opposed before its theatrical release. Comedy that rarely opened. Even with finished film, Warner Brothers execs nervous brothers. When Brooks began showed them Blazing Saddles' answer was weak. Later, he remembered, we checked it for executives laughed little. Even stated, 2 obscene Fordo Americans. Dump it and lose. It appeared like the film may never be released day. Thankfully, studio president John Calley gambled. he decided to release the film in 3 cities, as a whole, NYC, LA, and Chicago. It surprised everyone that gained popularity rapidly became the studio's best earner summertime. The film's legacy expanded. From there. American Film Institute traded 6th on its list 100 funniest films ever. In 2006, the Library of Congress chose it for National Film Preservation Registry, acknowledging culture and historical significance. Critics lauded it. 2 Roger Ebert nailed it. 0.4 stars. A frenzied grab bag of film that does everything to stay laughing except smacked us in the head with rubber chicken. He admitted it. Messy structure, yet, what matter when Alex Karras is right socks can cold shock a horse. Even politicians weighed in with former NYC Mayor Mike his favorite film. Bloomberg says, there was even a spin attempt at a 1975 TV series called Black, although the pilot never reached air. Talking about Blazing Saddles, one of the funniest films ever, but even classics make blunders. Some are tiny and easily missed that first time. Others are obvious that I wonder how they lasted. The Fools fans can't ignore. In Rock Ridge pre-Dynamite Church, scene you can crash through the window, visually inspect the breakage device, the glass. Later, Hedley Lamar gets from a Chinese theater cab. Street is vacant. However, the photo changes. A man emerges on the frame's side. Then Mongo Steer entryway is large. A chain about his neck shifts direction, single cut, left to right flip, nobody touched it. These slides, theory little but noticeable, always jump out. Likewise for conversation between Bart and Jim concerning firing dynamite. A moment, his hands in his hips. The next photo shows they were around his belt buckle. Even brawls have action. Continuity issues. Taggart Pats pulls back, then somehow is next shot, still patting him. In the cafeteria battle, Taggart gets food in his stomach. But he slides away, food is on his chest, but knocks down a man in a derby during Bart's goodbye. Victim vanishes instantly. Next frame. Again, the crowd is filled. If nothing occurred. These little mistakes don't destroy fun. They only add charm. The first hidden bloopers in this film. Hidden bloopers in plain sight. One of the most hilarious portions, Blazing Saddles' crazy appearance. Some pranks are unavoidable. In the phony town scenes, Crook kicks down a building. Dynamite blows later. The same structure collapses again, like it was mysteriously recreated. Bart distributes the candygram. Shadow appears on the painted backdrop, revealing the streets are sets. The horse punching moment also slips. Before Mongo's victim falls, head turned towards horse. Post-cut, his body facing other direction, proving stunt double took over. Even early, mistakes happen. When 2 blacks workers use cable hand carts, pushing them into quicksand, briefly visible. Mongo's large chain break also shows trick. Shot stops. Chains are replaced with fakes. Suddenly, the water from his face disappears. Audio goofs exist. When Taggart kicks a false structure, yells fraudulent. We've been duped. Mouth opens wide and doesn't match any words. Later, in the studio law chaos, tour guides don't speak near the lines we hear. Hedley the Lamar shooting scenario also falters. The body hitting earth plays 1 second before the actor collapses. The S.O. does Mongo's candygram joke. Mistake. He shuts his eyes before package explodes. Clear safety move that wasn't disguised enough. Fans chuckle at mistakes now, yet they persist. The film differently alive. And if you think they are all the mistakes, wait to see the outcome. Last scenes. Mistakes that stay out. Blazing Saddles caused panic. Fans many laughter and plenty continuity issues. In Rock Ridge, thugs lasso and drag a victim during a raid. Through mud. First, the rope is around his feet. Drag him headfirst. It suddenly moves to his chest. Pulls him away. He sniffs Taggart's arm and hat. Maintains slide. One shot shows covering his eyes. Next has it. But Mongo never raised his fists. Move. Including Sheriff Bart's office. Not safe. Waco youngster shaves with facial cream. Wiping a little, he jumps when Bart kicks a chair. Yet when the camera cuts, all the cream is gone. Ultimately, goofs keep coming. Waco kid rests on hay, no horse visible. As soon as Bart welcomes a horse, magically appears. These mistakes show how swiftly and hard the film was shot to capture every detail. But even despite bloopers, the film shines. As Mel Brooks commented, I adore some like it hot, but we have the funniest film ever. No comedy beat Blazing Saddles, even those ahead on the list. AFI's list. Fans might dispute the list, But Brooks was never bashful about filming anywhere stood. Indeed, his work on this movie inspired another idea equally famous. From Saddles to Frankenstein. While filming, Brooks often noticed Gene Wilder taking notes during breaks. Brooks recalled, "Oni day on Blazing's Western town said he took a saddled lunch break, observed Gone Wilder leaning against sheriff's office, scribbling stuff on a pad on his eye said, 'Gene lunch?' In a moment, I must finish imagined I have." Wilder handed Brooks pad. On top were the saying, "Young Frankenstein." Brooks loved it. Wilder expressed his notion, "Imagine Dr. Frankenstein's grandson desired no family involvement." Brooks laughed at it. They began drafting the After Blazing script at Night Saddles. Both films were released that way. In 1974, giving audiences same team, two comedic classics. Many critics agree now that Blazing Saddles was impossible today. Back then, it mocked Western stereotypes that uncovered racism and challenged Hollywood boundaries. The 1970s saw Westerns changing. The John Wayne era was new names like Eastwood were emerging, taking over. Brooks attacked with satire. Genre and associated attitudes it. Black Sheriff Bart's Tail Rock Ridge was affected harder because just 2 years after Wayne's The Cowboys maintained racism, non-ironic wording. Brooks gave audiences something new. Humor fought bigotry while still making others chuckle. An audacious move that works. While debates continue whether the film is approved now, one item shows. The blend of crazy comedy, sharp satire, even its mistakes left a mark not erasable. Which is your favorite? Blazing Saddles blooper behind-the-scenes tale that moves always laugh. Post your thoughts comments below. Don't forget like, subscribe, and watch for more astonishing Hollywood tales amazing history.